a new United Nations Pact on Global Migration is proving highly controversial across Europe. Supporters of the agreement say it will foster cooperation and improve the handling of millions of migrants, but critics fear it will encourage more illegal migration. Protests held against the agreement in Brussels turned violent, and it has led to the Belgian Prime Minister, Charles Michel, offering his resignation. Reality Check has looked at the details of the agreement and why it's faced so much opposition. Negotiations leading to the Global Compact for safe, orderly and regular migration began in 2016. Following the arrival of over 1 million people into Europe, it's not legally binding and allows countries to remain in charge of their own immigration policies, but commits signatories to improving cooperation on international migration. The pact was agreed by all 193 members, except the United States, in July. But at the ceremony to adopt the text on 10 December, only 164 countries formally signed it. Among those who refused to adopt the deal in addition to the United States were Hungary, Austria, Italy, Poland, Slovakia, Chile and Australia. The report sets out 23 objectives for safe, orderly and regular migration. Some of these objectives and policy recommendations aim to. The agreement emphasizes that all migrants are entitled to universal human rights and aspires to eliminate all forms of discrimination, including racism, xenophobia and intolerance against migrants and their families. The Compact reaffirms the sovereign right of states to determine their national migration policy. The European Commission says it will have no legal effect on national legal systems. Speaking at the signing ceremony in Marrakesh, Morocco, the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, noted that illegal migration had triggered significant fears in some countries, but these fears had been used by the opponents of the pact to spread false information. At the same event, the United Nations Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, said myths surrounded the agreement. The United Kingdom endorsed the deal and praised it as a way to tackle illegal migration as well as keeping migrants around the world safe. The government has been clear that the United Nations agreement will not change the ability of the United Kingdom to set its own migration policy. The Compact protects every state's right to determine its own immigration policies, including in areas such as asylum, border controls, and returns of illegal migrants. Said Lord Bates, Minister of State at the Department for International Development. However, the non-binding deal has created political tensions in several countries, with politicians claiming it will lead to more migration, and erode a country's ability to be in charge of immigration laws. In the United Kingdom, an online petition signed by more than 100,000 people asked the United Kingdom not to agree to it. The United Nations document is a statement of intent and aimed at framing migration as an economic issue, said Susie Dennison, a senior policy fellow at the European Council on Foreign Relations. It was designed to depoliticize migration, again, but the pact has done the opposite, she says. The United States, in December 2017, was the first country to pull out. The statement at the time said the agreement was incompatible with the United States' sovereignty and our decisions on immigration policies must always be made by the Americans and the Americans alone. Hungary followed in July 2018, and, at the time, the foreign minister said, this pact poses a threat to the world, from the aspect that it could inspire millions of migrants. Criticism in Europe rose as the date of the signing of the agreement approached. Former Donald Trump advisor Steve Bannon and a right-leaning Marine Le Pen attended an event together in Belgium to oppose the pact. The country that signs the pact obviously signs the pact with the devil, said Ms. Le Pen. Polish Interior Minister Joachim Bradziszki has said the pact could also be an incentive for illegal migration. Germany backed the agreement but faced stern opposition. Alice Weidel, leader in the German parliament of the far-right party Alternative for Germany, AfD, said, in effect, illegal migration is being legalized. A key reason why this pact has been the focus of so much debate is because immigration is a huge topic in Europe, says Ms. Dennison, and it will continue to be in the run-up to European Parliament elections in 2019. Opposition to the pact underlines that migration is the number one political issue in Europe. It really is the dividing issue for electorates. Radmar from Reality Check. Send us your questions. Follow us on Twitter. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group Al-Shabaab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 4 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28. It said in a statement, "These were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants." Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the United States in January 2017. A tally by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism reveals that at least 400 people have been killed in airstrikes since the beginning of 2017, far more than the previous 10 years combined. The latest strikes bring to at least 40 the number carried out in Somalia so far this year, compared with 35 recorded in 2017. The United States has a huge military base in neighboring Djibouti, from where it launches attacks on the militants. Mr. Trump gave the United States military greater authority in March 2017 to attack militants in Somalia. Traditionally, United States presidents have been wary of intervening in Somalia since ATN Special Forces soldiers died fighting militias in the capital Mogadishu in 1993, a battle dramatized in the film Black Hawk Down. No civilians were killed in the latest airstrikes, which were carried out in coordination with the Somali government, the United States military said. Alongside our Somali and international partners, we are committed to preventing Al-Shabaab from taking advantage of safe havens from which they can build capacity and attack the people of Somalia, the United States Africa Command said. Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has not yet commented on the latest strikes. Somalia-based security think tank the Hire Institute said in a report published in November that Al-Shabaab had been forced to change tactics following the upsurge in airstrikes. The institute said the group was now conducting fewer mass attacks on military bases, but attacks on government offices and businesses which refused to pay its taxes had increased markedly. The United States State Department, in its most recent report on terrorism, described Somalia as a terrorist safe haven and said Al-Shabaab remained a threat. Despite suffering setbacks, the group retained control over large parts of the country and the ability to carry out high-profile attacks using suicide bombers, explosive devices, mortars, and small arms. The report added, 2 Scandinavian women tourists have been found dead in Morocco, with cords to their necks, the country's interior ministry said. Both bodies were found near the town of Imleo in the High Atlas mountain range, near the foot of North Africa's highest peak, Mount Tebco. The women, from Denmark and Norway respectively, have not yet been named. A police investigation has been launched into their deaths, the Interior Ministry statement said. 2 Scandinavian women tourists have been found dead in Morocco, with cords to their necks, the country's Interior Ministry said. Both bodies were found near the town of Imleo in the High Atlas mountain range, near the foot of North Africa's highest peak, Mount Tepco. The women, from Denmark and Norway respectively, have not yet been named. A police investigation has been launched into their deaths, the Interior Ministry statement said. A poacher has been ordered to watch the Disney film Bambi repeatedly after he was convicted of illegally killing hundreds of deer. Missouri hunter David Barry, Jr., must view the film at least once a month during his year-long sentence.